Hello, I am doing my project on the Exxon oil spill that happened in 1989. I could not get the capture to work on my laptop. I tried downloading and re-downloading and completely deleting it and re-downloading it and taking my laptop to the tech center, but apparently my laptop does not have enough space on it to hold it, even though it worked on it before, so I apologize for that. Testing the tablet on my laptop, I do want to give you a heads up that you can see the front page, but the fine print you cannot see, so I am going to download my PowerPoint and send it to you so that you'll be able to read the fine print. Just wanted to give you that heads up. Alright, so the Exxon oil spill is by me, Caitlin Lepore-Reed. The fine print here states that the topic description and content. My topic is the Exxon oil spill that happened in 1989. This oil spill spilled approximately 42 million liters of crude oil in the Alaskan Sound Sea. And this was one of the largest oil spills in U.S. history that was reported. It spilled this oil in the northeastern Prince William area, and it caused damages that are being still found today. You can find this in the economic and environmental impacts that is still going on. Due to this, there has been greater understanding of long-term effects of large crude oil spills on species and the ecosystems. Before the spill, there was little known because of ethical issues. They couldn't test on the animals for how they would be impacted if oil would touch their skin or if they would ingest oil. So that's the one thing that scientists did get out of this, if we're looking at it in a positive light. However, it's still a negative thing. 4 key resources that I used were ongoing population level impacts on killer whale orcas following the Exxon Valdez oil spill in Prince William Sound, Alaska, which goes into detail about what the spill did to the environment and how it impacts the whales. What that article talks about is how scientists and researchers tracked whales for many years and watched their reproduction rates, and were able to tell if the reproduction rates went up or down, or if they stayed level, and they were able to see if this was a change from before the oil spill, or if this was a change from after the oil spill. And the basics of the oil spill cleanup. This goes into detail about how to clean up the oil spill, what types of oils there are, what types of cleanups there are, and individual stress, collective trauma, and social capital in the wake of the Exxon Valdez oil spill. This resource discusses how the oil spill impacted the local communities in Alaska with their social capital and their trust in the system. And this goes into detail about how the environment was impacted, the ecosystem was impacted in the Alaskan communities that were right around the Prince William Sound, and how those environments and those communities were impacted both economically and socially, and how they are still recovering from that spill that happened in 1989 today. The Exxon Valdez and BP oil spills in comparison and intentional social and psychological impacts. This discusses how the resource discusses how the two largest oil spills affected the local communities psychological and socially. And those four, they have different meanings and impacts upon the aftermath of the oil spill, and one discusses how we clean up the oil spill, but they all go hand in hand and tied in with one another on how the oil spill happened and then what we're doing to fix it and how it's impacting us today. So my research is going to be on the studies that are being done today to see how the oil spill affects our communities that were impacted directly. The main findings were the oil spill was one of the largest oil spills in history, spilling 42 million of gallons off the north slope in Prince William Sound. Fish population significantly declined, causing community and economic stress because the Alaskan communities there, they survived off of being fishing towns. So they would go off in fishing boats and they would make their money making fishing. And then they would export that. Caused community economic stress, psychological stress, mental health problems, increased drug and alcohol use, elevated levels of depression, anxiety, and PTSD. All those coincide with one another. Usually if there's an increase in drug and alcohol use, that means that there's an increase in mental health issues. Families near the oil spill were concerned with family health concerns and commercial ties, renewable resources, and concern about economic future loss and exposure to the oil. So the health concerns with the oil exposure, the family health concerns with mental health, the economic future with the renewable resources, so oil with the fish repopulating in that area, and the loss of the fish population and the oil. There's a threat of resource loss, so the threat of the loss of the fish population. Research shows that technological disasters tend to create higher levels of long-term stress than natural disasters. So due to the technological disaster that we caused ourselves, that tends to cause more stress upon our communities than a natural disaster would. The killer whale population in the surrounding areas of the Exxon spill had a lower production rate than after the spill than they did prior to the spill, and that continues to today. The population, due to the studies, will eventually get back to what their reproduction rates were, but that's going to take many years. Killer whales are not able to detect or avoid the oil, which causes them to ingest the oil, inhale the oil, and their skin to have contact with the oil. So that causes their bodies to decompose, and for them to have health issues, and for them to die and their reproductive organs to not be able to reproduce at the rate that they could, and for some of the whales they can't reproduce then. So my next steps in the research is to continue to expand off of the 4 articles that I currently have, to take some of the sub-elements in the articles and use that to find more research, and this will allow me to expand on the 4 ideas that I already have and find more of the sub-elements. Find a few more articles with the main ideas to expand upon, to start writing an outline for my paper, to start writing my paper, to take it to the writing center, and to potentially turn it into you earlier, and to have it read over to get feedback. Where I need help is there are not many recent resources on the Exxon oil spill within the last 10 years. And I'm curious, am I able to use resources past 10 years old? So going into 12 or 11 to 15 years old. Could we discuss what you mean by study on the paper? Does that mean using the studies that I already found and using that as the lit review? Or are we creating our own study, like a mock study, and applying that to the paper? Am I going a little crazy with work and all my classmates and the unexpected things that keep popping up? Oh, I am currently going a little crazy with all the work and the classes and the unexpected things with popping up. And I'm doing my best to manage it all, but it's a little difficult. So I apologize that things were turned in late and that I was kind of a little all over the place here at the end. So I will download this PowerPoint and turn it into you via an email. Or maybe I'll just attach it to this document as well. I hope you enjoyed my presentation, and I will see you in my future videos.